Hi everybody, my name is Frank Siccardi, also known as Cyborg Prime, and welcome to my training video. In this two-part series, I will show you how to run the Makehuman to realmcrafter pipeline. This will enable us a quick and easy way to create human meshes and then animate them, texture them, and bring them into realmcrafter or any other game that supports the B3D format. There are also additional formats that you can use, .x and so forth. But for this example, we're going to do the final export into Blitz 3D format for use with realmcrafter standard. So, first thing you're going to need to do is download the latest versions of Makehuman and Blender. In this first video, I'm going to show you how to create a game-ready mesh in Makehuman and then export it to Blender, where we will then bake textures and get ready for animation. In the second video, I will show you how to configure the animation bones, add animation, and then export the finished low poly mesh to realmcrafter, where we will use it as a playable actor. So go ahead and open up Makehuman. And let's go here to modeling, main, and let's make this a male low polygon. So we'll move this over to male. And then let's go here to geometries, and let's add t-shirt, and let's add jeans, and let's add some shoes. Alright. And we're going to want the low polygon proxy because this is a high polygon mesh. So go here to topologies and select the proxy 741 for our low poly mesh. If we were actually going to do this as a game character, we might want to use one of these other higher poly meshes. But for now, let's use this one just for performance sake and to show you how easy it is. Alright, so proxy 741. Now we need to add a basic set of bones. So go over here to pose and animate, and we'll set these up for second life bones. Alright, that's 19 bones. That's good for keeping the performance hits down. So let's go back over to File, and we're ready to export our mesh. So go here to Export, and we will call this my Fred. Let's go ahead and export. Let's take a moment. Alright, and we're done. So we can basically close out of Makehuman. And what we want to do next, though, is we want to go into the Makehuman folder on your C drive. This is where it is for mine, C, Program Files, Makehuman. And then we want to find the folder called Blender Tools, and this is it right here. This is the contents of the Blender Tools. Let's make this a little smaller. Makehuman is nice enough to include plugins for Blender. So we need to open up the add-ons folder for Blender. Here's the path for mine. It's C, Program Files, Blender. Make sure you're in the right path, and you want the add-ons folder. Alright, so what we want to do here is take these four. I'm just going to control click each. And we want to copy and paste them over into here. See where it says move to add-ons. You can move it, or you can hold down the control key and do copy instead, or you can copy and paste, whichever is your favorite method of getting these folders over into this add-ons folder. Then when you run Blender, these tools will be added into the add-ons list. So I've already gone and done that, so we can go ahead and close these two windows, and we can close Makehuman and open Blender. Okay, this is the splash screen. Just click to get rid of it. Blender always loads in this default object. It's already selected, so you can just hit delete and then enter to get rid of it. We're not going to need this command panel here, so Let's go ahead and expand the window. I'm just sliding it there. Alright, and let's move this window to open up a little bit more. There's going to be some more panels here we want access to. Alright, first thing we need to do is go into File, and we're going to go to User Preferences and make sure that the MHX importer is enabled. So here it is. This is the Blender tool that we just loaded, and when you first load it, it will be unchecked. So make sure you check it, and then go down here to Save User Settings. Okay, we're all good to go. So now we're ready to import our model. Go to File, Import, find the Makehuman. In this case, this is where I saved mine, under Makehuman version 1 exports, and there's my Fred. Alright. Now, I'm going to zoom out by scrolling the scroll wheel a little bit. And then I'm going to hold the scroll wheel button down, the middle button down, and that rotates the camera. And then I'm going to hold down the shift button while middle clicking, and that pans the camera. So then I'm going to zoom and pan so I can basically see the whole model here. And rotate down. Alright, that looks good. But our model looks like Mr. Clean. The textures appear to be missing. That's okay. The default settings for Blender are not the best settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the Properties panel. And we're going to, that's with N. And then we're going to come down here to Shading. And change multi-texture to GLSL, and then change textured, check this textured solid on, and then press N again to close that panel. Gotta not be pointing at something else. Okay, there we go. Now we need to set the viewport to render the textures. So go here, viewport shading, and select textures. Alright, and there's the textures. But they're backlit by this weird little light here. That's the default light. Select the default light, and then adjust this panel so you can see the modifiers. Here's the light panel. We want to change this light into a hemispherical light. There we go. Looks better. Alright, now we need to go in and fix where the body's showing through the clothes. We're going to do that with the shrink wrap modifier. So let's go over here and let's adjust this down. I'm just dragging. This is the scene hierarchy here, the scene navigator. I'm going to go ahead and expand the MyFred object. And we see the body, the eyes, the shirt, the shoes, the jeans, and then the low poly mesh right there. So let's begin by making let's choose the t-shirt. We want to make the t-shirt fit on the high poly item. So let's go here to the modifier stack. Here's the object modifiers, and we do add modifier, and we're going to want to do shrink wrap. Now we want the shrink wrap target to be the body, so scroll down here, choose Fred's body. You see it's clinging exactly onto the mesh itself. So let's use this slider and bring it up just to the point where we don't see any body showing through. That's probably good. We can rotate it around and make sure that it's looking good. Alright. So the shirt's done. Easy. Let's go on to the jeans now. Select the jeans. We're already in the modifier stack, so let's add a modifier to the jeans. We're going to do shrink wrap. Change the target to Fred's body. And then we're going to adjust the offset so that it covers the shirt and we don't have any butt or crotch sticking out. Alright, there we go. Looking good. Alright, now the next thing we want is to do the shoes. And so here's the shoes. And we're going to do the same thing. Add a modifier, shrink wrap, target the body, and then offset them so that they're big enough to cover the feet. Now, something I've noticed about the Makehuman shoes is there's some either reversed faces or something in there that need to be fixed. But that can be fixed later on also with a Photoshop Paint program. So until I figure out what that is, let's just not worry about it. Okay, so there we go. Believe it or not, we're ready to bake. So what we want to do for the bake is we're going to open up an UV window here. So hit this little widget and drag out a divider, and we'll make this side the UV image editor. Alright, now let's select the proxy mesh here, and then we're going to go into edit mode with tab. Alright, now I had my cursor on this window. I think that's what tells the computer where to apply the command. Alright, so I hit tab to go into edit mode, and then we see here the mesh has already been laid out, UV projected. Alright, looks good. Let's go ahead and save that. So come down here, this is the image saver, image creator. So we're going to create a new image. Let's call it texture. Whoops. Helps if you spell it right. Texture. And then here, 32-bit float. And we're going to say OK. Alright, so I'm just using the scroll wheel to zoom that. Alright, that looks great. Now, one cool thing about Blender is it stores a stack of these in the cache, so you don't have to necessarily save it. Although, as part of the final step, you are going to want to save the texture map along with the mesh. But we're not quite there yet. Alright, but we are ready for baking. So, let's go ahead and choose the body, and then hold down the Shift key, and do Fred's all Fred things. Make sure to choose, doesn't matter what order you choose these in, so long as the bake target is going to be chosen last. Alright? And to make sure that we've got everything okay, I'm going to hit tab, and there we see the mesh of our most active object. So that looks good. Alrighty, now, next thing we need to do is run the bake. So the way you do that is you come over here to the renderer. It's a little camera. You scroll all the way down. There's a bake button. And we want to bake the texture. So come here for bake mode and choose textures. And then I'm going to adjust this a little bit so you can see what it says. Select to active is what we want checked here. Selected to active. Okay, we can adjust these windows. We don't need to see so much of the texture window. Alrighty, so now we're ready for bake. Oh, no, wait, we have to do one more thing. The bias tells the computer how close the texture should be that's being baked on. So I found that in this example, 0.5 works good. Alright, so now we're ready to bake. So let's go ahead and click bake and see what happens. Okay, so you'll see there's still some places where the skin is showing through. Those are errors left over from the bake. We can go back with Photoshop and fix that all up. All right, so it looks good. Now we are ready to get rid of all the other objects and apply this bake to our low poly mesh. So now that we don't need any of these other things, we can go ahead and we can hide them just by selecting them and hitting this little eye icon. But since we don't need them at all, I'm just going to go ahead and delete them. So get rid of the eyes and the shirt and the shoes and the jeans. Alright, so now here we just have our poly mesh. Alright, now we want to hit tab. Alright, so we can see our mesh and our UV map are still aligned. Okay, now we need to assign this texture onto this mesh. So come over here to the texture mode and make sure this middle one is selected. Materials and textures. And you'll see there's nothing listed here in the list. So let's make a new one. So click new. And the automatic texture type is procedural clouds. Let's go ahead and change that. We want image. And let's scroll down. And then here we want to choose texture. Okay, so hit this little picture here. And here's the texture. And now you see it's on there kind of crazily. That's alright. We'll come down here. And where it says image mapping, drop that down. And, whoops, sorry about that. Yes, no, we want mapping, just mapping by itself. And here where it says coordinates generated, let's change that to UV. And you'll see now it's oriented right. And then let's hit tab to exit out of edit mode. And there is our baked mesh. Alright, looks a little shiny right here. So let's fix that shininess. Let's go back here. This is the material editor. And what we want to do is come down here to specular. And we want to drag that intensity down. So I'm just going to slide that down. You see the mesh is looking shiny or less shiny. I don't want it to be shiny at all, pretty much. Flat. Alright, that looks good. Alright, now we're ready to save. So let's go ahead and file and save. And we're going to just make this my Fred Blender. And there we go. Ready to go. One last step is let's go ahead and export this texture. So go to image and do save image. Let's see. Whoops, we'll need to do a save as. Sorry, image. Save as. And we want it to be in the same folder as Fred. So let's call it my Fred. Well, we can actually just call it texture. That's what the computer thinks it's going to be called. So just go ahead and do that, and then do save as image. That way we have a copy of the image. Alright, we don't need this image anymore, so to get rid of panels we don't need, we grab this bottom little doohickey widget, and we just slide over the window we don't want. Alright, so here's our finished model, and stay tuned for part 2 where we're going to add bones and animations. Thank you for watching.